Suzanne were watching on their remote viewing screen as Professor Darkstone began exploring the Slammer clown ship. They designed and built the remote viewing screen, RVS, with help from the ship's artificial intelligence bot, Psi, after discovering the various capabilities of the Drost when they explored the stone castle and abandoned city before they took a ride in the 1960 Ford Thunderbird space tunnel ship and met Ogly Noggly. The RVS worked the same way as the Fourth Dimension drive-in movie screen, and there was a similar set of controls to select the desired scene or location to view. One of the Brainos, who was a Saber collaborator, told Bacher and Suzanne about Professor Darkstone's plan to surveil the Slammer clown ship, and this piqued Bacher's and Suzanne's curiosity. Few people had seen the inside of a Slammer clown ship, and there was considerable mystery and speculation regarding what it might contain or how it was used as a psychological weapon by the Grand Eye of Toei and his Slammers and Clowns as they strove to enlist more planets in the fight to extend the generally accepted Standard Galactic Week by precisely 1 day, thereby making it 9 days, which everyone knows is evenly divisible by 3. Professor Darkstone was traveling in an invisible and quite stealthy drone ship and was surprised by the first room or area in the Slammer clown ship being a large cavern devoid of everything. No slammers, no clowns, no furniture, no machines, and nothing else. Just an empty cavern. The cavern had a smooth floor, and since the cavern was empty, Professor Darkstone tested the environment and determined it was suitable for humans. So he parked his invisible stealth drone ship and decided to go for a walk to explore the empty cavern. As Professor Darkstone walked around the empty cavern, he began noticing shadowy gray dots following him. And since they had a friendly and comforting behavior, he surmised they might be protectors like the ones at the stone castle. When he had this thought, a few of the protectors flashed a short pattern of lights to confirm Professor Darkstone's intuition. Professor Darkstone continued exploring the empty cavern, and after a while the protectors flashed a series of warning lights and then completely surrounded Professor Darkstone to cloak him. A few seconds later, a smaller Slammer clown ship teleported into the empty cavern, and a contingent of clowns disembarked and formed a line that in a surreal way resembled a Brazilian conga line, after which the clowns started dancing. Around this time, a large door appeared at the far wall of the empty cavern, and after it slowly opened, the Grand Eye of Toei and his entourage entered the empty cavern to the accompaniment of blaring trumpets and a small kazoo band. The clowns stopped dancing and immediately started honking their clown empty cavern near the location where the single flautist had performed the solo of melodic proportions. Professor Darkstone strode to the location of the object on the floor of the now empty cavern, and after pondering what to do, reached down and retrieved it. Examining the object led Professor Darkstone to surmise the object was a coin, and on one side it had an iconic representation of a set of bowling pins, while on the other side there was writing in a strange symbolic language that appeared to be blah 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 blah. As this unusual sequence of events was happening, on a far distant planet, a babbler was providing moment-by-moment reporting in the style of a mumbling golf announcer, covering the activities of Mocker and Suzanne, Professor Darkstone, and their protectors as if they were playing a round of most unusual golf. Ramonculus, the overlord of the 13th dimension, was an aficionado of golf announcing and found this to be very interesting, even though on many levels it made no actual sense. Ramonculus resided in an extended Calabi yacht brain and entertained himself by creating cyborg mermaids, playing water polo, and watching golf tournaments. The current activities were entertaining, and whether it made sense in one way or another did not matter so much to Ramonculus. Ramonculus was very focused on determining what the grand eye of Tole, slammers, and clowns were planning to do, since certain of their potential activities could have disastrous effects on the stability of the 13th dimension and the existence of Ramonculus and his kind. The primary matter involved